Reading about the differences between sex, gender, and sexuality. The World Health Organization defines gender as the characteristics of women, girls, and men and boys that are socially constructed. It is a broad spectrum and includes roles, behaviors, and other social norms that are associated with being a man, a girl, a boy, and woman. Sex is a term that describes a person's physiology and is assigned at birth, male, female, and intersex, and usually based on their external anatomy. Sexuality is a term for someone's behavior, attraction, and identity, as well as their likes, dislikes, pleasures, fantasies, intimacies, preferences, and more. Sexuality, John Money, is often regarded as the first to introduce a distinction between the biological sex and the gender identity or role in 1955. Sex is distinct from gender. The World Health Organization defines gender as sexual constructed and sex as the characteristics that are biologically determined, drawing a distinction between the sex categories of male and female and the gender and girls and boys who grow into men and women. So the next para is the terms sex and gender are not and should not be used as interchangeable terms. We can differentiate between sex differences caused by the caused by the gender differences and biological factors which reflect a complex interplay of psychological environmental, biological, and cultural factors. Gender identity is thus seen as a psychological concept that refers to an individual's self-perception. Christopher Oliveira stated sexuality describes both one's own identity in relation to who they may be attracted to. In other words, gay has traditionally described men who are attracted to other men. To that end, I sometimes says that we can talk about gender without talking about sexuality, but we cannot talk about sexuality without talking about gender. Sexual orientation, from my perspective, connects who we are with, who we are attracted to. Human sexuality is the way people experience and express themselves sexually. This involves biological, physical, psychological, erotic, and social and spiritual feelings and behaviors. The biological aspects of sexuality largely concern the human reproductive functions, including the human sexual response cycle. Physical and emotional aspects of sexuality include bonds between the individuals that are expressed through profound feelings or physical manifestation or love, trust, and care. Sexuality also affects and is affected by physical and moral, social, ethical, cultural, philosophical, and legal and political and religious aspects of life. Socio-cultural aspects of sexuality include historical developments and religious beliefs. Some feminists argue that neither gender and nor sex is strictly a binary concept. A study by MC Tanner and Heyman illustrates that gender atlas in the Western world informs how we understand and conceive of contrast of sexuality. Their study was aimed to discover how men and women gender their meanings of sex and sexuality, if at all, and their results suggest that men and women do talk about sex and sexuality in gender terms. So, tata.